We are live. Wow. Let's get the guests in. He'll return to the drawing board. He's a fighter through and through. You man, what's going on? Just waiting for the guests to come in.
Oleksandr, the undisputed cruiserweight champion, now the unified heavyweight champion. Just how much does this mean to you?
Ты уже undisputed champion и сейчас уже unified супер тяжелых. Что это для тебя значит? Насколько много?
Очень много.
Just listening to what Usyk is saying.
A lot.
With two Olympic gold medalists, we always expected a very technical boxing match. Did the fight go the way you thought it would?
I'm good. Just a bit shocked. Just listen to what Usyk is saying.
Он дошел именно так, как я предполагал. Было пару моментов от этого, когда он зажимал, но это незначительные вещи.
The fight went exactly the way I expected it to go. There were a couple of moments when Anthony pushed me hard, but just nothing special.
Nothing special.
Did you feel that you were close to forcing a stoppage in the 12th and final round?
Ты ощущал, что уже близок к тому, чтобы остановить бой в последнем 12-м раунде?
Не было такой задачи. Вначале где-то я это хотел сделать, попал, кинулся, но потом мой тренерский штаб привел меня в чувство.
I had no objective to knock him out, because my trainers, my corner, pushed me not to do that. So at the beginning, I hit him hard and just tried to knock him out. But then my trainer said, just stop and do your job.
I know that you never listen to them and you only listen to your team. But there were questions. Can Oleksandr Usyk...
So what are you thinking about that then?
...be a heavyweight? Is he big enough to be a heavyweight? Is he good enough?
Because I'm shocked. I thought AJ would have got the KO. There was a couple of times in there when he could have done. Max, you alright?
Abby,
Yeah, you're right. I can see ya.
you okay?
Yeah. You're on live. Welcome to Max McCracken. Your reception's cutting out.
Yeah, you alright, Abby?
Yeah.
What's it like now?
Yeah, it's alright. It's alright. You're just a bit.
Yeah,
You look like
listen to
you're
that.
off.
He deserves a dose of Usyk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. I just don't understand why. I mean, obviously we can get in it, but AJ just didn't seem to throw that right hand enough. Oh, Max has disappeared.
Bex.
Where's your light?
Hold on, wait there.
All I can see is darkness.
You see me a bit better now?
There we go. So we've got Hosea Stewart, debutant heavyweight who sparred AJ. Max has disappeared. We need to get Max back in here. Max McCracken, the trainer of the Yafai brothers, Solomon Dakers, heavyweight. And we're waiting for one more. Max has disappeared, so we've got to wait for Max to come. Jose, I'm trying to get us all in here at the same time, but we're just going to have to wait until everyone starts to join in slowly. Come on, talk.
I'm got in, man. Got in. You know, one of them ones, you know, we already know what his face for us, you know. I'm going to change.
Why are you so choppy? Are you like not indoors?
Can you see me, Abby?
Yeah, I can see you fine, but you just disappeared off for a minute.
Oh, I don't know what
Jose,
happened there. You right, Jose?
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
Your reception's bad, Jose.
A little better now.
Yeah?
A little better.
Yeah. Max is there.
What's mine
Can you
like?
hear me?
Okay.
Yeah, yours is fine.
My barnyard connection.
Can you see Max?
Yeah, I can see him.
Yeah. Well, we're all here. We're just waiting for one.
What's that?
Max is saying hello.
Oh, you're good, Max. Yeah.
Yeah, you are, Jose. Sound.
Bad man.
So you're just waiting for one more. You are?
Who is it?
I'm just waiting for one more to jump on. He ain't jumped on yet. And then we can start it. Oh,
Okay.
5 minutes, he said. 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll just carry on. So anybody, welcome, October Red Boxing. This is our first live. So thank you to those that are here. Spread it out. Let other people come onto the channel. We're going to have a breakdown of the fight. What an interesting fight it's been. So I'd like to say a massive welcome to Max McCracken, who has trained world champions himself in the Yafais, who's also the trainer of Solomon Dakers, who's our Birmingham heavyweight. We've got Jose Stewart, who's West Mids again, heavyweight, due to make his debut very soon. I don't know if you're going to announce any fight news on this, but whatever. But there's 3 of us at the moment. We're waiting for a 4th person. So we're just going to get on and get into it and wait for the 4th person to jump in. I don't like to say names just in case I don't turn up and then I'm sat here looking like a dickhead. But anyway, I'll hand it over to you, Max. Give us your thoughts on the fight, just as a whole, to start off with.
Yeah, I just thought he's really slippery, Usyk, and Josh never got his range properly. Couldn't put anything more than one shot together. You know, he never pinned him down. I just thought he was really well, good, Usyk, and he deserved it at the end. I'm just gutted for Josh, you know.
Yeah, proper one. Hold on, hold this thought. We're getting the 4th guest in. Xavier Miller. Xavier Miller, welcome.
Yo.
Xavier, Max McCracken. Xavier, Jose Stewart, Max McCracken, Xavier Miller, the trainer of Dillian White.
Respect, everyone.
Oh, good, yeah.
Before we start, Xavier, I know you knew Pro Bees better than all of us, so I just want you to obviously pay our condolences, and if you just want to say a few words, because obviously Pro Bees is massive in the boxing YouTube industry, somebody that helped me, gave me some advice when I first started off. So just want to pay my respects to Pro Bees and just start it off with you, just to say a couple of words, you know, of condolence, respect.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, yesterday was really, really hard when I heard the news. This guy, honestly, like, he was just loved by everybody, you know, in the boxing industry. It was just approachable. I mean, he knew how to talk to fighters, managers, coaches. You know, he always made everybody feel really comfortable. And it's you know, if he called you and said he wanted to do an interview, you know, everyone's would just jump up and say, yeah, no problem. He was just that kind of guy. And today, even though it was a really hard day yesterday, you know, for me personally, I was so happy that so many, obviously, upper echelon, you know, people involved in boxing were paying their respects to this man. You know, from Matchroom to Warren Boxing, you know, everybody, we all felt the same way about him. Honestly, rest in peace. And he's someone that I spoke to outside of boxing. You know, he helped me a lot because he wanted me to. Along with Shaz, they wanted me to be so much more outspoken. They know I'm just in my gym. I don't really like doing too much interviews and stuff like that. But they kept encouraging me and saying, no, everyone should know how you are. You know, you need to be out there. And I kept saying, it's not really my thing. But he said, listen, you know, it's for your boxers. You need to do it. And I'll always love and respect him for that, you know. And I feel really bad for Shaz as well. Obviously, they were very, very close. And, you know, listen, you know, his legacy is going to live on forever in boxing, that's for sure.
100%. Thank you very much for that, Xavier. He's hit the boxing community hard. You know, us YouTubers, he's a pioneer in what he was doing. And like I said, somebody that always offered help and support for, you know, up-and-coming channels like myself. So, yeah, thank you very much for that. Thanks for everyone joining in. We've got you, man, I done for JP, Bruce, Kai. Thank you very much for those that are here that I can see. If there's other people in there, jump in the chat, ask some questions. But yeah, Max, you were saying about Usyk being just too slippery. So sorry, carry on. If you can hear me, Max.
Might be on mute.
No, is it?
Or a delay. He might be in a delay.
Yeah. I'll jump over to you then, Xavier. Because I was starting off the combo saying I just don't think AJ was using his backhand enough, but that is just what I'm seeing. I don't know. He just seemed to be quite hesitant with using the backhand. But what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, I've been very clear from the beginning about the Usyk Joshua fight. I only ever saw the fight going one way. You have to look at the two fighters, look at their achievements, and look at how they box. Now, you know, for this fight, Joshua's.
Now you're on mute.
Say again?
Yeah, you were on mute then. Sorry, what was you saying?
I said, yeah. Joshua dropped some weight for this fight, which means that obviously he wanted to continue the boxing style that he adopted in the rematch with Andy Ruiz. He wanted to be more mobile, and it's actually a tactic that would actually benefit him, because you know you need to be quicker for someone like Usyk. The only problem is that it then becomes a boxing match, and then you have to ask yourself who's the better boxer. You know, Usyk is the better boxer. You know, he's more loose limb. You know, better combinations, better angles. And that's when I had an interview this morning on TalkSport. I said to him, I really would like Joshua to hold onto his belts, but this fight here, it's not going to happen. He's not going to beat Usyk. What a lot of people don't understand is that when lighter guys come up in weight, they have an advantage. I don't know why we've got to go through this so many times. These guys they're so used to fighting guys that are quicker that when they go up in weight, the guys are slower. Boxing is about speed. This is why Tony Bellew didn't mind fighting David Haye, because David Haye spent years fighting slower heavyweights. So when he tried to fight Bellew, it was a shock to him. Evander Holyfield used to run after these big guys, and they used to get tired before he did. You know, he was used to fighting guys at a lighter weight. He went up in weight. The guys were a bit slower. He could outwork them. You know, Michael Moorer was effective when he went up to heavyweight. You know, and Usyk had done so much, you know, in the Olympics, and then obviously he's you don't become undisputed unless you're something special. So he's undisputed at cruiserweight. He's showing you the pedigree, and you know he's gone and done a job. I think the only disappointment for me watching that fight from the beginning to the end, it wasn't so much the punches that Joshua picked. It was the fact that he never got his lead foot in the right position.
He was on the inside.
That was shocking to me throughout the whole fight, because it is very difficult to fight a southpaw. It is difficult. Everyone's got these ideas of, when I get in there, I'm going to do this, do that. Remember, they spend their whole career getting their feet in the right position against orthodox fighters. Yeah. Orthodox fighters don't often fight southpaws, so it's more difficult for them to make the adjustment. So that was the only disappointment. The only disappointment was I didn't see him like actively doing that. But again, Joshua, you know, he took a lot, almost got taken out in the last round, and disappointed he's lost his belts. But give respect to Usyk, you know, he's made history. And from what I can remember, he's only the second southpaw heavyweight champion of all time. Michael Moorer was the first.
Max, is he just frozen?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Oh, Max is frozen. I'm gonna have to try and get him back in. Jose, jump in. Are you frozen?
No, I'm all good. Still there.
Okay. Yeah, what are your thoughts? I tried to get to you, Max, but you were frozen then. So, Jose, jump in. Tell us what you think.
Again, you know, the whole thing about fighting southpaws, it's tricky. Again, they've got the advantage tactically.
Yes.
Usyk used to fighting big. Like, you know, even though as a pro he's been cruiserweight, we're forgetting as an amateur he fought super heavyweight a lot of the times.
Exactly.
He's got experience against big 6'6", 6'7" guys, rangy. So he knows how to pick his punches, move off, and he just peppers people all night long. And obviously, that's what he does best at cruiserweight and at heavyweight now, clearly. So yeah, I just don't think AJ was able to get his punches off clearly, because Usyk's tricky, man. You got to pay him respect. But I'm gutted, man. I'm gutted.
Yeah, I mean, Max, your thoughts on that? If we can jump onto you, if you haven't frozen again, Max keeps on freezing. He freezes and then he comes back in. With my opinion on it is, there was a few moments when I just thought that AJ could have pushed it. There was a few opportunities there for him to actually push it, but he just didn't seem to want to follow through with the punches. For some reason, he just seemed shy to throw that backhand. I wanted to see that straight backhand go straight through to use it, because when he did throw it and it did land, it worked. But he just seemed to hold back. I agree with you, Xavier. His feet weren't in the right position. It was either toe to toe or slightly on the inside. That foot was never on the outside. Usyk was, moving up and down as he does, spinning off, finding those angles. And he did start to tire, because AJ was hitting him with some nice body shots. But then when he was doing that, he just seemed to hold back and not follow through. And that is what I can't understand. Now,
that's the reason. Yeah.
Explain that to me, because obviously I don't know. Am I missing something?
Yeah, the reason is great fighters make you do things that you don't want to do. It's obviously on the outside it looks a lot different. I mean, the reason why AJ wasn't overcommitted with his right hand, because there was a worry of him getting countered. I mean, you have to remember how special Usyk is. I mean, Joshua to me couldn't do anything better apart from getting his feet in the right position. He's at a disadvantage because he's slower. And we can see that. When Usyk opened up on him, he actually he found it hard to get out of the way of the punches. They were just coming in from all angles. It's very, when you're in there with a southpaw, if you don't get the tactics right, it will become a nightmare. And it's not so much what could Joshua have done better. Give praise to Usyk for doing everything right, because he kept coming off on an angle. He didn't leave his head centered too often. He let his combinations go. He constantly established his authority by making sure he was stepping towards his right. Made it difficult for Joshua. Yeah. By the time Joshua faced him, it was too late. He was walking onto punches. I always give credit to the guy that followed through his game plan. Joshua had 12 rounds to make an adjustment and do something different. If he could have, believe me, he would have. It's because the guy's so great. Because the guy's so good.
Jose?
Yeah, I agree, man. Usyk's special. He was always in position with that backhand all the time. Every time I looked at him, his left hand was in line with AJ's head, whether he was throwing it or not. So every time he did throw it, it landed. So it's a tough one, man. Again, like I say, it's difficult against Southpaw. So fighting a special Southpaw who's a master at his craft, it ain't easy, man. It ain't easy. Even just trying to watch and break down what you can do against Usyk, it's just it's a fine line. But,
so if there was a game plan, then what do you think it would have been, looking at it from AJ's point of view? Because Usyk had just said there, that fight went exactly the way I thought it was going to go. He was quite confident about that. Maybe he would have had a different story if he'd lost. But as winning, he said, that went exactly how I thought it was going to go, which made me think that he's obviously planned, he studied, and he knew what he needed to do to outbox AJ.
That's why, and that's another reason why, if you listen to a lot of these old interviews with these guys coming up, like the likes of Andy Ruiz and Usyk, they've always said that that's the style they think they can beat. Styles make fights. Maybe Usyk won't be as effective as against one of the other heavyweights because of the style. But Joshua in particular, they favoured themselves against him, and that's just boxing. That's just boxing. That's just the way it goes sometimes. It's I was just talking to some of the guys just now, post fight, and I was saying to them, it's not what I'd want him to do, but you couldn't be upset or angry if Anthony Joshua was to retire, because he's done everything in boxing. If he did decide, I'm going to stop, nobody could be upset about it. You know, he's been a unified champion. He's won a gold medal. I mean, there's a lot of boxers that will never achieve what he's achieved. I mean, obviously, I would like him to continue, but you have to remember he's made a hell of a lot of money. He did not look good in this fight. To me, he lost this fight at least 9 rounds to 3. On my card, only getting 3 rounds. That's a heavy loss. And what you don't want to do, you don't want to get to a point in your career where you start taking too much punishment. If you look at a lot of these old fighters, a lot of them, they look weathered. We don't want that. To be fight. But he might go away in, like I said, a different style. He'd probably look a lot more effective, but I don't think an Usyk fight would be a good idea. So he would have to think about and assess where he's going to go with his career from now. But you could tell Usyk is just going to grow in confidence because there was questions before. Can he be
Can he take those heavy punches?
Can he be a real heavyweight? Okay, he's proven he can be a real heavyweight. One of the biggest punchers. What do you think it will happen next time? He'd be even more confident. So that's why I was asking the question. It's not something that I've heard. I'm saying if he did say that, it wouldn't be a major issue. But I would expect him to get back in there and have another fight. And the other issue is it's Tyson Fury and Wilder. This whole saga is taking so long to unravel. Who is he going to fight in the meantime? Obviously we'd love that rematch. I'd love Dillian to get the rematch with Joshua, but we want the belts. He's lost the belts. So again, that's another conversation.
It's a tricky one, but I think even if I don't believe that he will say that he'll retire, because to me he's somebody that feels that he needs to avenge his losses like he did with Ruiz. I think he will go away, regroup, sit down, and look at what he needs to do to beat him. To me, there were opportunities for him to do it, but I just personally think he didn't grab them, and I don't know why. But I'm not in
the fight. Who looked like the puncher in that fight?
Usyk.
He can go in there again, but Usyk will be even more confident. He'll probably be confident he can stop him.
You could say that, but then you could say the same thing that obviously, well, we know that Ruiz fell off because he came in about 50 stone heavier. So there was differences there. But if AJ...
A complete difference in class. They're two completely different class of fighters. Usyk is...
world class.
He's elite.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz is quite flat-footed. He doesn't have angles or the intelligence of this guy. For this guy to go in there and do that to Andy Joshua, one of the best heavyweights in the world, it's hard. It's hard.
So Jose, then, if he went away and come back, he sat down with his team, how does he come back and beat Usyk? Because he can't come back in another stone lighter.
No, definitely not. I think, me personally, I'd come in a lot more aggressive. I'd want to dictate, I'd want to impose myself from early. AJ is a big imposing guy, and believe me, he hits hard. Luckily, I ain't been caught clean by them, but you can feel the shots on your guard, And
Big H. I'm so glad that you brought up this point, because we've been in the gym and we've been talking about this fight.
Yeah.
And everyone's saying, well, Joshua needs to be aggressive. I asked everybody in the gym, show me a fight where Anthony Joshua's been aggressive. He's a boxer. Yeah. Show me which fight. He's not the kind of guy that gets in there and roughs you up, puts his weight on you, throws you on the floor. He's not that kind of guy. And he's not a kind of guy that puts his hands up in a high guard and walks people down. So aggressive how? How was he going to... That's why I say when he was dropping the weight, it then becomes a boxing match. And Usyk's a better boxer. It's an aggressive style that will give Usyk problems.
Yeah, definitely.
Look at the scorecard with Uzura.
Yeah.
Look at the scorecard with Uzura. That's what you do with a southpaw. You have to be aggressive against them. It's not Anthony Joshua's style. That's why I say a rematch to me might not be the best idea in the world.
Well, when we say aggressive, he just didn't seem to let his hands go.
Yeah, literally, I'd say that.
It
That's
was like
just
he
the thing.
was
Let
pausing,
him
he
go a
was
little bit
stopping,
more.
and that's what I'm trying to grasp. Why? Because we know AJ lets his hands go. We've seen him box before. He's not afraid to throw the combinations, the 5 uppercuts, one after
You've got
the
a
other.
sharpshooter like that.
But he was holding back.
Because
So you're saying he's holding back because he was fearful of what Usyk could bring to him, not prepared to take the risks.
He was worried about what Usyk was bringing, because if he was to overcommit, he'd get punished for it over and over again.
Yeah, that's true.
But believe me, if Anthony Joshua had been more aggressive, he would have got stopped. If he was aggressive, he would have got stopped. Seriously, he was cautious for a reason. And this talk before the fight as well, Usyk doesn't carry enough power. Didn't he not Tony Bellew down one punch?
Yeah, he did.
It's ignorant to say he don't have power. Did he not stun Derek Chisora? He stunned him. You see, sometimes with these guys, it's the accuracy. Usyk's so accurate, he don't have to be the biggest puncher. He finds the mark. So that's why Anthony Joshua wasn't taking risks like that, because if he had been overly aggressive,
he would have just got caught. Yeah.
Yeah, he might have got caught, and obviously he didn't want to do that. You know, he was almost like he was trying to find the perfect shot, but Usyk was just that rhythm that he had. He was always head was always moving.
Yeah, he was always offline.
And that rhythm, I mean, it was a moving target all the time. Remember, Joshua is a lot slower. So honestly, I love watching guys come from the lower weights, move up in weight, and prove that they're good enough and big enough to beat these guys. I love it. I love it. It's just because it doesn't happen that often in boxing. So when it happens, we need to celebrate it. This guy is a cruiserweight, and he's come up and beat Joshua basically one-sided. We need to celebrate it. Outstanding. Go straight in the history books. Second Southpaw to win a heavyweight title. Only thing he's going to fall short now on. That's why I can't compare him to Evander Holyfield, because Evander Holyfield's undisputed in both ways. If he goes and collects the rest of the belts, I mean, how many more belts does he need to get? Is it just one, isn't it?
One.
Yeah, the one, yeah, WBC.
WBC.
Then he can be compared to the likes of Evander Holyfield.
But I think Usyk said in an interview recently that he finds that Fury would be the more interesting fight for him. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure he said that today. He said out of all of the 3 of them, Wilder, Fury, and AJ, I'm sure Usyk said that Fury would be the more interesting fight for him. Something along those lines. Correct me.
I said it would be really interesting. I'll tell you, I would jump at that fight. I would love Dillian to fight Usyk. If you're talking about someone who needs to be aggressive in spots, well, there you go. Because that's a different kind of style. I would grab that fight with both hands. You know, Dillian, right now where Dillian is in his career, he's in a fantastic position to beat all those guys. So that's any belt that's available. Listen, you don't have to ask Dillian twice. He's been waiting long enough for a world title shot. Yeah,
we know that Dillian would take on any fight. That's never ever been an issue with Dillian. Dillian is one of them that will fight anyone. It's not a problem. Mm-hmm. But how would Dillian beat him? You're saying about the aggressiveness, but we're talking about a slick boxer. Dillian is also quite flat-footed. He's not as bouncy. AJ bounces about more than Dillian does. So how would Dillian catch him? This is what I'm getting at. And I'm a Dillian White fan. How would he catch him?
You have to throw combinations. You can't look for one perfect shot at a time with someone who's got that kind of experience. You don't have to ask Dillian twice to go throw combinations. He's a busy fighter. Dillian's always been a busy fighter. You know, it's a fight that would suit us. I'd love that fight. You know, Dillian's fantastic at going down to the body as well. Something else Joshua needs to do a lot more in that fight. Dillian's a good body puncher. That's why I say styles make fights. That's a fascinating fight that that will look completely different to obviously this fight, but that's why we love boxing.
And you're right, styles do make fights, but it's a tricky one. I'm just going to jump in the chat because there's a couple of people in here. I just need to shout out Sir Alex Ferguson, you man are done for. Thank you if you're still in here. Bruce Kai, the accountant, real goal getters, Marty Foster, Ashai. Right. So Bruce Kai's put in earlier, why didn't he do what Chisora did, which is obviously going back to the aggression. Presume follow it through. You've done the backhand, you've wobbled him inside, but that just wasn't happening.
And from what I'm just thinking back over the fight now, Usyk started really well, and I think he did hurt Joshua early, either in the first or second round. So that will make you hesitate even more. He's already proved that he can hurt him coming in. So, you know, it's a difficult one. But yeah, I agree with the guy in the chat. You know, the rematch just looks like a very, very difficult fight. But I don't blame anybody for wanting to go back in if you've lost, because
you got to.
Pride, you know, you're going to want to go back in there and do better. So
you've got to. But I did say one of the ways to beat Usyk, because he likes to use his legs a lot, is to hit him to the body, get him to the solar plexus, attack him, get those not low shots, but get those body shots in and take his legs away, and then just walk him down. I don't know.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, it would be ideal.
It would be ideal.
A few rounds they did start wiring in them body shots, but it's just catching him, pinning him down to land a substantial shot.
Exactly. Big H. Exactly, Big H. And Usyk body shots look more effective.
Somehow we'll have to trap him in a corner, man. Cut the ring off somehow, stop him from moving to land the body shots. Then he's got to do it again and again, continuously for say 3 or 4 rounds. That's when it would be effective. But again, it's pinning Usyk down. He's clever. Yeah, move one way and then boom, he's gone the other way. Then he's throwing combos. Then he's gone again. Then he's throwing more combos. Then he's gone again. So it's it's a tough one.
Yeah, he showed some real damage. Yeah, here we go. Hold on, let's have a look at the chat. Usyk was a mandatory, so why would there be a rematch clause? They've signed it. It's there. In the presser, I think Usyk's manager obviously made the assumption that Usyk was going to win because he mentioned that there was a rematch clause. So obviously to see when that's activated or, you know, when it's going to happen, but there is a rematch clause.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they are going to go again. Well, hopefully they'll go again anyway. Let's have a look. I think AJ underestimated Usyk. Or Usyk must have gotten under his skin. I don't think he underestimated him, you know.
He definitely wouldn't have. I think he got straight in his head. A tricky southpaw like that. He imposed his game plan from the get-go, and he kept it going. So naturally, it's gonna make people overthink and make them think, all right, then, well, that ain't work. What am I gonna do next? Okay, that ain't work. What am I gonna do next? I ain't landing that shot. I can't land that. It's making him overthink. He's thinking overtime. So it's hard. It's hard for him to impose himself. AJ, like say, warm into the fight, impose himself, and then that's when he starts letting his hands go. But when there ain't an opponent there to let your hands go on,
because he's too elusive, isn't it?
Yeah, and something's always coming back. You throw a sloppy jab, you're getting peppered with 2 shots. You throw a sloppy backhand, you're getting peppered with a backhand. So you know, there's always something.
But even his jab sort of seemed not as forthright. I know this, you know, everything comes off the jab. The jab sets up the other shots, but his jab didn't seem as forthright as it usually does. I don't know. What are you guys thinking on that?
It's different trying to jab a southpaw. It's not the same. Jabbing a southpaw is completely different to trying to jab an orthodox fighter, because
it's a mirror.
Angle. Everything's coming from a different angle, so it's you have to throw the right kind of jabs at the right time, and again, that's another thing, easier said than done, especially with Usyk, who's got a very good jab and a quicker jab.
So when you're talking about jabbing a southpaw, then how would you? You're Dillian White's trainer. I'm not telling you to talk your tactics as such, but how do you jab a southpaw? Forget Dillian, then we'll say as a fighter, how do you jab a southpaw?
I'll only say that you have to vary your jab. That's all I will say. But obviously, you know, your in-house tactics, your coaching tactics, you have to keep very close to your chest because that's why you're brought into camp. But yeah, you have to vary your jab. Let's put it that way. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But there's specific things that you need to do to get your jab off.
To set up your other shots.
And take a southpaw jab away. There's certain things you have to do, which I didn't see in this fight.
Well, I was expecting. I don't know why my camera's unplugged. I am still here, but I was expecting to see a bit more parrying as well, or to possibly pull down the hand of Usyk to nullify his jab, and then to counter with the backhand. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Is that for H?
Anyone that's got an answer for it?
Yeah. I'd say again, it's one of those where it's easier said than done. Usyk's constantly moving his hand, it's up and down. So there ain't really a target where it's glued up for some. Yeah, like they're in a target there too. Push down half the time, and the minute you go to reach out for that, he's gone again, or he's throwing shots. Oh, she gone.
Can't have disappeared, otherwise it'll just shut down. I think. I don't know. It's Big H. What's your name?
Hosea Stewart.
Jose, nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, respect you, man.
Respect you, my brother.
Hopefully we get some work in the future.
Listen, well, apart from me being out here, yeah, you're welcome to come and see me at my gym anytime when I get back. After me, I'll be back. So
Respect,
come down whenever, man. You're more than welcome.
Respect, man. I appreciate it. She back now.
It's coming back now. That's good.
I don't know that one. Right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Don't know why that's muted.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Let's just turn that camera back on. Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Don't know why that's muted.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Let's just
Can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Don't know why that's muted.
Hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
So what do you do, H? You a boxer, media? What do you do?
Professional boxer now. Just
Yeah?
just a pro.
How many have you had?
As an amateur, 17. As a pro, I'm due to make my debut in December, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what weight?
Heavyweight one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good luck, my brother. Good luck.
Respect, man. Plan to make a big statement in my debut, so yeah, look out for that, man. Oh. That's muted, I think.
We're just sorting out these technical difficulties. Give us 2 minutes, yeah?
That's muted, I think.
Yes, H, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just saying I've got a couple of heavyweights at my gym, amateurs.
Yeah.
So when you want to come down and spar, just you're welcome to come down anytime you're ready.
Yeah, respect for that, man. Definitely, I'll be in touch with him.
Yeah, and one of them's had, I think, they both had under 10 amateur fights, but they're good movers, so they'll give you some good rounds.
Yeah, man, respect for that.
So what show are you going to be on?
I believe it'll be a Eubanks one. So Wasserman show, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, send me a message on Insta.
Yeah.
Remind me close to the time, please. I'll come and watch. If it's in December, I'll come and support you, man.
Yeah, man, respect for that. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Yeah, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry about that. The connections just went all off. First time on here. YouTube live virgin. I'd like to say that for everything else, but I can only say it about YouTube. Anyway, SARS, you know what I'm like. Yeah. Sorry, did I not introduce you to Jose? Jose is like a heavyweight debutant for Wasserman.
Yeah, we know now. We've been talking the whole time.
I thought I did all these introductions to start off with.
No, that's all right. We caught up. We're good.
Right, here we go. Yeah, October Red is having a mare. Base the Kid likes to jump into things and only give people criticism. He likes to do that. He likes to big up himself but criticize everyone else. He's in the chat. Can you guys see the chat?
No, we can't see it. Well, I can't see it. No.
Why can't they see the chat? There's loads going on in the chat. There's some good questions coming up in here. But you were saying, sorry, before we got cut off, about varying the jab. And I was saying about why did he not carry that? Because Usyk gets into a rhythm. He spins. You see him, he spins. Like when he feints, some people like feint and then move forward and they flinch. Usyk spins the hand. So why not parry that and then counter it?
It's a difficult one because
I'm not the boxer. Yeah. I'm the fight fan that sits and watches and thinks, okay, I'm looking at things and trying to analyze it and think, okay, how do I nullify? Because he's got a rhythm. Usyk has got this rhythm. He bounces, he bounces, he bounces. So it's just like, bah. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that. I don't know. Am I being stupid?
No, go back to what Big H said earlier. To slow all that kind of movement down, you've got to go to the body early in the fight and heavy to the body. But, he wasn't able to do that. So from the time you don't do that, once again, the fight's boxed at a pace that Usyk likes. It's a slowish pace.
Slower pace than he's what he's used.
Where he can take his time, pick his shots. Obviously, with a quicker pace, he'd be more in a rush and then he'd feel more under pressure. And then maybe you could slow the smaller fighter down. But again, listen, as I said, in a talk yesterday, a lot of heavyweight champions in history never boxed southpaws. Riddick Bowe never boxed the southpaw. Lennox Lewis never boxed the southpaw. It's okay talking about it. Going there and doing it's another story. And every boxer's makeup is different. Some guys actually just built and just have a style, to be able to compete against a southpaw. Other fighters don't. So you're watching things, you're watching certain fighters and saying, well, why isn't that fighter doing that? Maybe it's not his natural makeup to do that. And then as soon as you get away from what you're comfortable doing, then you start leaving holes, start leaving gaps because you're getting more and more desperate. It's tricky. It's like a game of chess. When you're in there with a southpaw, it's about foot position. It's about you trying to establish, your game plan on them and vice versa. And that's where the tactic come in. And if one guy can do that and can do that quickly, if you notice with Usyk, the other great thing he was doing, at the start of every single round, he started fast.
Yeah.
Time.
He started first, and he started
10, 15 seconds. He had Joshua on the back foot, and he was making sure he was getting off first. So then Joshua had to start trying to chase him and make up ground. And when he did that, then he countered him. Like I said, it's just a very good game plan by Usyk. It's not so much what could Anthony Joshua have done. You can see that was obviously a tactic in camp. When we start the rounds, let's start fast. That's something we do. Like that's what I do with some of my fighters. The ones that I know can do that and get away with it. I say to them, listen, the first 20, 30 seconds, go. And then settle and box. It's in the game plan. To me, fights are won and lost in training camp. If you do all the right things and then you can implement it on the night, no matter what the other guy tries to do, it's a struggle. That's why I always rather focus on the guy that's done the right things and has won the fight. I'm a positive person. I rather give credit to Usyk. We're from the UK. We're from the UK. We want Anthony Joshua to win. We want to keep all the belts here. But at the end of the day, when you see a masterclass like that, take your hat off and that's it.
Yeah, it's mad, and it was a masterclass. I've got a question in the chat from Base the Kid, the hardcore casual, and he's a bit more than a casual actually. He's very good. Yo Xavier, based off that performance, are you going to tell Dillian to walk down Otto instead of trying to box him.
I can't tell you that. But all I can say is to me, I've always said that Dillian White, and this is even before, I became his head coach. To me, he's more versatile than the other heavyweights. To me, he can do more. The other heavyweights are very good at one thing in particular. Dillian, to me, is good at lots of different things. So I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I can tell you that you see something a bit different.
Well, saying that, because I was saying that about AJ being the chameleon, AJ being able to study his opponents and beat them at their own game. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm kind of shocked with today's result, because I made the assumption, don't get me wrong, I didn't write Usyk off. Mm-hmm. I know what he's capable of, but I made the assumption, silly me, that AJ would have got him out of there, because AJ's not afraid.
I strongly opinionate on that as well. I knew Usyk would give him problems through the middle rounds. I thought AJ might get to him early. Usyk was settling, box for a little, frustrate him. Mm-hmm. Then AJ would start to, again, back to that aggression, start to press the action, imposing. Yeah. But again, going back to it, you forget how elusive Usyk is, how skilled he is, and how all this is, it's second nature to him. He's done this all his career. He's had nearly 200 amateur fights, lost a couple.
There you go.
Beat every cruiserweight that he could have, moved up to heavyweight, and just done the same again. So it's like, it's hard to question a man like that. But AJ's always got that puncher's chance. Once he lands, you see people go. But yeah,
but he is a boxer.
Yeah.
A true boxer.
He's a boxer. He's not this all-out come forward aggression guy. That's not the way he's ever gone about his business. He's a boxer. So to me, I say all the other guys are very good at one thing in particular. They just with Joshua, it's always about a stiff jab. He's always looking for that right hand, and he's become a little bit more cautious, as most fighters do throughout the later part of their career, a bit smarter. If this was maybe a younger version of Joshua, he might have taken more chances, but you can see when he took chances against Andy Ruiz the first time, he got 4. So, you didn't want that to happen again. So I say, while you're in there, and with someone that is just that much quicker, you start to over-process and start to think, what am I going to do to get out of this problem that I've got?
Risk.
And it's not his nature to say, you know what, right, I'm losing. Let me just all out aggression. You're asking someone to do something that they are not built to do or haven't shown in their career. But if you go to one or two of the other heavyweights, they're known for doing that. Derek Chisora is known for pressure. It's hard to contain him for a whole fight because that's what he does. You don't have to ask Derek, right, you're behind, be aggressive. Second nature.
Well, I'll ask you this just before we move to some more questions in the chat then. So looking at the performance of Chisora versus Usyk and AJ versus Usyk, in your opinion, who performed better? And that's to, you know what, BK, go first, H.
See, it's a tough one to gauge, really, because AJ boxed well, but he boxed the Usyk's game. He boxed the Usyk. So obviously, that's more Usyk's comfort zone, whereas Chisora, as we've seen, flew at him, whipped him bombs, roughed him up, made it difficult. But obviously in the later rounds, Usyk controlled it a lot easier. But it's a tough one to gauge. I'm on the fence with that one, to be honest.
Xavier?
It doesn't matter, how you want to spin the question. Anytime you fight someone who is all out aggression, they're going to pick up rounds. Mayweather beat Castillo, Mayweather beat Maidana, Chisora, with Usyk. Sean Porter against Spence, Sean Porter against Danny Garcia. These guys that, that their whole game plan, their whole training camp is based on putting pressure. It's very hard to deal with someone who just keeps running forward at you, in sometimes straight lines. It's straight lines. So you can't It's styles make fights. You can't compare it. To me, Derek, there was a lot of pressure there, but the clean shots to me were always coming from Usyk.
Yeah.
But you see, Derek was picking up rounds because he was being aggressive. Usyk had to spend a lot of time, dealing with the physical presence of Derek, which means it was harder for him to get his shots off and show what he could do.
Yeah.
So again, it's a completely different style. I can't say one performed better than the other because it's a different style.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. See, we got Big H after watching the tricky fighter in Usyk. Does it make you think about becoming a more rounded fighter as you progress through the heavyweight ranks? Because you're at the beginning.
Yeah, right at the beginning. Yeah, most definitely, and that's where I'm obviously going to build my experience in my early few fights. Same as when I was at amateur, straight away, because I went in the championships. I fought Southpaws, 6'8" Southpaws. I fought guys my height. I fought shorter, stocky guys that come bombing forward. So, I was able to pick up experience and I got a lot more comfortable like that. So I guess I got to do the same as a pro. Broaden the spectrum and just, build up my skills as I go along.
And study, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Study. I mean, it's hard for me to say it, but current boxing, I don't spend that much time watching it. I'm from
you're the old school.
I'm 80s and 90s era, so you guys are very lucky because when I was watching boxing, I had to do crazy stuff to get the money to order VHS tapes and Betamax tapes and get them shipped from America. I had to go and do paper rounds and wash cars and so on. You guys have got YouTube.
To the button.
You've got the whole world in front of you. You can spend, there's not a day that goes past that I don't study boxing. Every boxer should spend hours watching boxing. That's why Tyson was so great. Because he studied footage of boxing. Every style that you need to focus and find ways to beat, it's on YouTube. It's just you just got to put the time in. Nothing should be more important to you than studying boxing.
I'm a big boxing fan anyway, so I'm always watching, especially the old school fighters. I believe the old school guys tended to be a lot more all-round skillful,
technical,
especially heavyweights,
and not highlights,
speed, movement.
Not highlights. Highlights drive me crazy. Highlights is not studying boxing. You should be watching. You should be watching fights from the beginning all the way to the end. But any fight you can pick right now, I can tell you, I've probably seen it more than 300-400 times.
Yeah.
If it's Holyfield Bowe, if it's Gatti v Patterson, all these fights, I've watched them so many times that the tapes used to wear out, and I used to send money again to order another tape because my dad came in the room watching me. He goes, "Weren't you watching that fight this morning?" But that's why I know what I know, because I watched them over and over. I so desperately wanted to go to a gym and spar different guys and practice stuff that I'd watched, that I'd watch it that many times. I'd say, you know what? I like what Mosley did in that fight. How did he do that? Oh, someone's going to get that today in the gym. But that used to be a personal challenge to me. It used to be, I love how he does that. I'm going to do that today. And that's how it used to be back and forth. I used to watch the same Ivan Robinson, all these guys. And I hear heavyweights sometimes say, well, I only watch and study heavyweights. No. No. Boxing is boxing. Go and watch the lighter guys. There's stuff that they're doing. Just because they're throwing a lot more punches doesn't mean you don't watch what they're doing. So I watch all weights. You just study. That's what I say to you. Just study. Study the game. Study. A lot of the guys in my gym, they don't study enough boxing. That's why I say to them, you'll never get to where you need to get to. Yeah. I didn't get here, without putting in the work. I had to spend my hard-earned money, which my friends were buying clothes and trains and stuff. That's where my money was going, because I knew what I wanted to do with my life. Study. Just study. That's all you need to do.
And then I'll be like, if I was Hosea, use it. You free for any sparring. I'll be following up.
Get that experience.
I need some Southpaw experience. You're free. Straight away.
That's what it's got to be done, man.
I'll be learning Ukrainian.
It's got to be done. And that's the other thing that I did as well when I was coming up. I was always the guy that was at the back of the gym. I used to come in very respectfully and say, do you mind if I just watch? You know, and I went everywhere. I went to America. You know, I went to France. I went to
Yeah,
so many different countries because all I wanted to do, because at the time I wasn't going to be able to be a professional boxer, and I decided I was going to be a coach. I wanted to just learn a style that was going to suit me. So the guys used to always be so welcoming to me. Just say, yeah, just sit there. I used to just sit there and watch. So you know what? I like how that guy does that with that boxer. And I used to watch the temperament. You know, you have to know how to deal with different styles of people. And boxing's no different. You know, you need to travel. You need to travel. You need to pick up your bags and say, you know what? I'm going Vegas.
I'm going to Mexico.
I'm going Germany. I'm going Ukraine.
I'm going to Cuba.
It will make all the difference in the world, because you have to remember the amateur guys who have had an extensive amateur career, because they went on so much tournaments, they got to travel. Now, if you haven't had an extensive amateur career, you can make that up by traveling. The reason why Dillian's so good is because he's well traveled. You know, he's been in gyms with Klitschko's and so on and so forth. You have to travel, because I keep saying to the guys in my gym, you know, obviously one of the best fighters in my gym is Yusuf Kamari. And I keep saying to Yusuf, you're very good at what you do. But if I take you to Detroit, there is 100 of you, because I've seen it. Because I picked up my bags and I've gone there and I've seen it and I've sparred them. You know, it looks good here, but when you travel to other countries, you know, you'll be surprised. A lot of people are ignorant about Spain as well. Do you know how many good special fighters there are in Spain? Technically sound fighters in Spain, but you see, most people wouldn't know that because they don't want to travel. You know, come out of your comfort zone when you haven't got a fight. Say, you know what? Listen, and again, it's easy for you guys. Go on Instagram, message guys. The other day I messaged Mikey Garcia's trainer, Robert Garcia. You know, because he's got a big academy. Messages. If you tell them, you know what? I'm a heavyweight. I want to come and get some experience. Of course, they're going to welcome you, because they're sparring their guys in the gym all the time. They want fresh blood.
Need that.
When you walk in, they're going to say, especially in America, they're going to come to you and say, "You from London? You guys can't fight," and then you have to go and prove your worth. But they'll be happy you're coming. But the experience you pick up is priceless. You can't buy that. So yeah, travel.
We're just gonna have a look in the chat. Let's have a look. Xavier, right? Ashai says, I can't see any universe in which AJ wins a rematch except landing a punch perfect shot. So that is more or less what we've just been saying. David Smith was asked a repetitive question. I know we've gone over this. I hope it's been answered for you, David. How does AJ win a rematch? And we've gone over that, basically saying, well, I think he'd have to go back to the drawing board and study. Xavier doesn't believe that he can. Because of the styles just don't work well together. AJ hasn't got the type of, from Xavier's point of view, AJ hasn't got the style that can master Usyk's style. So I hope that question's being answered. And Ariane Yuda, Xavier, will Dillian tire after round 8 or 9 if Otto is still there? Because me and many do, Dillian has serious, I think he's trying to say they believe that Dillian has serious stamina issues late on. Apologies if I haven't read that right, Ariane. Please come on and correct me. So yeah, basically, has Dillian got the tank to carry on into the later rounds with Otto?
100%. Dillian's old school. And old school fighters know how to fight tired.
There you go. I hope that answers that question. AJ will have to settle with a domestic grudge match with White once he loses the rematch. Wow. Do you think like we're like quick? Because I'm not going to write AJ off. I do believe that he can go back, that he can sit down. You know, I was listening to when he was going back into the corner and the coach was giving him advice and saying, you know, double up the jab, box and move. In other words, double in, get the shots, get out of the way because he's coming back with the counters. That was the type of advice he was receiving in the corner. I don't know. I think that he could possibly go back and, he's got to try and go back and win it. You can't just say, yeah, I'm not going to bother with this now. He's got my number. That's not. He's got a champion mindset. But what I will say in relation to AJ is I prefer when he goes in there slightly pissed. They say a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, but I don't like him when he's relaxed. He went in there relaxed with Ruiz on Ruiz 1.
Is he still that fighter? No.
I don't know.
Different. He fights different now, doesn't he? You're right. Maybe we're saying you want him to do something that he used to do in the past. He might have passed that stage of his boxing career. Maybe he's not that fighter anymore, but that's probably why he boxed the way he did against Ruiz in the rematch. Who knows? Maybe he could turn it up and he could be more aggressive. Maybe. I would like to see him take a rematch and see if he could right the wrong. But it's I just have to be honest as I was for this fight. I just don't think he can beat that guy. I think maybe some of the others could beat Usyk, but I just don't. For Joshua, sometimes the styles just don't. It just doesn't work out for you, and I just don't see how he does it against Usyk. But it doesn't mean he can't go on and maybe fight Wilder or beat Wilder, or even fight Fury or beat Fury.
And that's it, because we're quick to write people off. And like you said, styles make fights.
Yeah.
Just because he's lost against Ruiz, obviously he did, but he won. Just because he's lost against Usyk doesn't mean that he can't beat other fighters.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because we are very quick to write people off. It's like, he's lost to a cruiserweight now. Oh yeah, put him in the bin. Well, why? Do you know what I mean? He just got outboxed by the boxer, by the very skilled, slippery.
It's been done. Yeah. But Bernard Hopkins, he just could never. He could never get the better of Jermaine Taylor. Shane Mosley could never get the better of Ronald Winky Wright.
It's like the kryptonite.
It happens, but they still go on to do great things. Yeah. It just happens. That's just the way it is at times. It's boxing. But you should always want to try and go back in there and see, if you could do something a bit different. He's proved that he's been a very, very good fighter over the years, and you can't just completely write him off because, like I say, he does have the power. He does. He's technically a very good boxer. Fundamentals are good. Yeah. It's just that in every department, to me, apart from, I can't even say that now, but in every department, to me, Usyk is better. It's just that Joshua has, it's a natural heavyweight. But even in the power department, like I said earlier, Usyk was the one that was hurting Joshua, and from early and late. But then the mid rounds, it kind of calmed down. AJ seemed to spike up, and then it swapped again. Because I remember saying, keep your head offline, because that's one thing he kept on not doing. He kept on keeping his head center. You've got to stay offline with someone that's moving like that. Keep your head off center all the time. But it just proved to be a really tricky thing for him to just keep that continuous momentum with. A Obs has put in the chat, AJ wasn't committing to the power shots. His chin ain't good enough to stay inside and trade. It's again, you're asking a guy to stand and trade when it's not that kind of fighter. This is not Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe. These guys stood right in front of each other and were very good fighters on the outside and the inside. Yeah. Joshua has always been a good boxer, especially long range. Like I said, the reason he wasn't committing that much is because, there was a trigger waiting for him. Yeah.
Let's have a look. No, sorry, carry on. I'm just reading the chat. Carry on, Sav.
Yeah, well, honestly, I really would like to. I really would like him to have one more go. I'd like him to have another go with Usyk, and if that doesn't work out, then maybe just go down a different path. But so obviously, it's just you know, UK, we wanted to keep them belts, you know, in house, you know, right here, you know, and you know, it didn't happen, and unfortunately, you know, the heavyweight division has been shaken up again.
Yeah, it has.
Makes it interesting again.
Boxing.
It does. Makes it
Yeah,
interesting.
it's not boring, is it?
No.
I'll give it that. The heavyweight division is not a boring division because of these upsets. And sometimes it takes an upset for you to either balance it out or to bring in that new blood.
Yeah.
You know, because everything gets stagnant after a while. So it's good. It is good to also see new blood coming through.
I just hope that, you know, Joshua's not going to get this negative backlash because, you know, it took a lot after the I mean, listen, there's no need for it. Look at the guys he's boxed. Joshua's got one of the best resumes in the heavyweight division. You know, you know, he hasn't shied away from, you know, fighting good guys. You know, just like Dillian. Dillian's, for someone who hasn't boxed for a world title yet, he's probably got the best resume in boxing. Full stop.
Yeah, for real.
Give these guys, give him his respect. You know, he's taken on another tough challenger here, and you know, he can't short, but you know, that's the way it goes in boxing. You know, in you know, the golden era, you know, you got the Fab Four. Those guys, you know, obviously they won most of their fights, but there was losses here and there because they were fighting good competition all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
This is reality in boxing. If you fight good guys, there's a chance you might lose. You know, so when a fighter does lose, you know, you don't come with all that negativity, you know, because it's just, you know, praise him for, you know, giving it a good shot. You know, he did take a lot. You know, he was struggling badly in there. He never stopped trying, and you know, it's not to say that if he gets the rematch, he could reverse it. So yeah, I just respect the guy anyway. Just respect him.
Yeah, I agree because I think a lot of the time, like I said, we're quick to just write people off. We don't know. At the end of the day, he doesn't turn down fights, does he? He gets in the ring and he gets on with it. And he was knocked back a few times by Usyk. His legs had gone a couple of times. Yeah. I was on my feet, like thinking, "Yo, is my man just good? Is he going to?" Yeah, he was getting touched up.
He was.
But Usyk, he got, like I said, he splattered. He was getting Usyk a couple of times as well, chopped up his face nicely. Like Usyk was like, okay, but and like I said, I know I keep going back to this, but it's sort of like he was allowing him to recover, like he was allowing Usyk to recover instead of just going in for the kill. Just go in and get him now. He's vulnerable.
That's a great trait. You know, whenever you have a bad round, if you go out the next round and you take over, that's the sign of a great fighter. Because I think Joshua had a very good fifth round, and Usyk came out and said, "You know what? I'm the boss."
Yeah.
As I say, it's more about what Usyk was doing. Every time Joshua looked like he was coming into it, Usyk just took it away from him.
Qualifying it, yeah.
Great fighter, honestly. You know, he's another one that could, if he wanted to, he could walk away from the sport because he's an undisputed cruiserweight champion. He's just won a heavyweight title. Sometimes the problem with these guys, you know, when they achieve too much, achieve so much, is they hang around a little bit too long. You know, Evander Holyfield, after he beat Mike Tyson the second time, if he had retired, people would be talking about Evander in the same light as Ali. But because you went on so long, and you went on and fought guys that you shouldn't really have boxed at that stage in your career, you get more losses. You kind of tarnish your legacy. Same with Roy Jones. If Roy Jones had retired when he beat Ruiz for the heavyweight title, you would talk about him as the best fighter of all time. But because he went on too long and started getting losses, it's a problem. You know, sometimes you have to evaluate and look exactly where you are in your career.
Lennox Lewis, quick while you're ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Lennox came out at the right time.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying sometimes it's good. Like, I've achieved this, I've done all of this, and I'll leave the show now.
Look at Andre Ward. You know, what else was there for him to achieve? He left it. Joe Calzaghe. Sometimes it depends how much hunger you've got left in the game. If Joshua's got a lot of hunger left, then yes, continue boxing. And that's what I said early in the chat.
Yeah.
It depends where he is in his career. If he feels like I've done everything I need to do, I don't need to go through this anymore. No one could say he hadn't achieved greatness. He's going to go down as one of the greatest British boxers of all time.
Yeah, 100%. But he wants it's that WBC belt that's been held hostage for so long. You know, we can talk about Dillian White and his 785,000 days. Yeah, we can talk about it, but obviously it does. But it is frustrating. That is the one belt, the most prestige belt that AJ wanted. That was where he was going. While he was waiting for that, he was dealing with a mandatory. And look what's happened.
My only question with that was how long did Joshua have his belt for, and how long did Wilder have that belt, and that fight wasn't made? How many years did Joshua hold those belts?
Yeah.
And Wilder hold the WBC belt? How many years did two of them hold those belts and the fight never happened? I don't know who to blame. What I'm saying is that there was an opportunity for that to happen.
For anyone.
Okay. It's not to say like one of them had the belts and then the next one lost the belt the next year. There was a good 2-3 years opportunity where the belts were there. We were screaming for undisputed. We were. And that's why I say it's when you get an opportunity to get an undisputed fight, people should do everything possible to make it happen. Terence Crawford, bench should be getting in the ring now before one of them gets beat and the fight doesn't have the same feel.
Yeah, but this is the boxing. This is the boxing politics, isn't it?
Yes.
This is the protecting of fighters, isn't it? I mean, we can go deep into that another time, because boxing politics, you know, forms another great conversation about orchestrating fights to fit, to keep hold of things. Which
when
is
when two fighters want to fight each other, the fight gets made. Believe me. When the fighters want to fight, the two fighters want to act. They definitely want that fight. Believe me, it happens. I've heard these conversations before.
Yeah.
Behind closed doors, it has.
Okay.
Yeah. If it doesn't happen, it's because one person
doesn't want it
to happen at that time. But anyhow, two fighters want to fight. No way anyone's going to be able to stop it. Because what they'll do is they'll demand it and they'll say, "I'm not fighting anybody else until you get me that fight."
Well, to be fair, Tyson Fury said the same thing about when he fought Wilder the first time. Said the fight got made easy because we both wanted it to happen. He did say that.
And I believe I've always believed that.
Yeah.
I've always believed it.
I'm just looking here. If AJ loses the rematch, does Dillian jump ahead of him in the rankings, or does Dillian have to get that win back against AJ to make that happen? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm only interested in the belts. Whoever's holding the belts, that's our main priority.
Right.
It's the belts. We've got to get the belts first, you know? Get the belts, you become a major player. Major player.
Yeah, I'm just... Yeah, hold on, here we go. Right, over to you, Jose. I'm just having a look at the questions that are in here. Right, sorry, Big T's just put in, give credit to AJ for taking a difficult fight, probably harder than Fury. Tried to outbox a boxer and never bullied him enough inside using his size. But they go again, rematch clause, which is, what I said. Big up Big T. Nice to see that you're here in the chat. Big T's down there watching the fight. For those of you who don't know, that is the dad of, I believe, a next future star in the light heavyweight division, Ben Whittaker. So that's his pops, who's an absolutely fantastic person, mentor, and is right by his son's side, following him into his professional career. So big up Big T.
Big up.
Yeah. Right, here's one for you then, Jose. Why they try to protect Joshua from getting KO'd by ringing the bell with more than 5 seconds left of the 12th round. Is that something I missed? That's from Ski Mask Boy. Thanks for your comment.
I didn't pick up on that, you know. Yeah, I think I missed that as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't clocked that. Right,
even if there was an extra 5 seconds on top of what was there, I mean, he probably still would have survived the round anyway.
Yeah.
He was hurt, but he was still, you know, trying to move his
Yeah.
head.
It was.
It was almost like there was like 10 hands coming towards him. He was just trying to get out of the way of them.
It was mad.
It looked crazy, yeah.
Yeah, it was mad. Here we go. Jose, back at you again. Usyk or Fury? Who wins that fight? Thank you very much, King KRT.
Again, back to it. I gotta go with the bigger man. I think Fury style matches him more. To be honest, you know, he's nimble. He's a lot more nimble.
Yeah.
He'd have Usyk chasing him really, and you know, obviously hitting a 6'10" guy when he's 6'3", it's a big jump. So I would lean towards Fury, but again, you can't write off Usyk. It's heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, and we've seen that. Look, Xavier's grinning. What, Xavier? What are you thinking? You can't sit there grinning like that and not tell us what you're thinking.
I favour Usyk.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Favour Usyk.
Okay.
Interesting to see.
That's why do you favour him? I know, obviously, the job that he's just done, but why does his style beat Fury?
I just think the speed factor might be an issue for Fury. I think Usyk is at the moment will be very confident, you know, that he could land what he needs to land and offset Fury. You know, I don't know with Fury. Like I say, he's at an advantage against certain people, and others, he might get himself in a lot of trouble. I think Usyk would I think he'd outpoint him.
Interesting. What about you then, Jose? What do you think to that?
But no, you know, I just think Fury's too long, man. And he's got a lot of speed. In the way how he boxes, you know, when he's throwing jabs, his jabs are rapid. So, you know, if he's boxing on the back foot, constantly flicking out them long arms, it's like a leg kicking someone. So it's going to be a lot harder for Usyk to get inside, let his shots go in and get out again. Because by the time he's got out, he's in Fury's reach. He gets in, he's in Fury's reach. And, you know, I think Fury will relish being on the back foot, having Usyk chase him. I think he'd love that.
Mm.
And then probably look to tire him out and then be the big man and try bully him, lean on him,
definitely
sneak in a few big shots, you know. I think Fury style matches goes well against Usyk, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And being able to adjust in the fight.
Yeah, let's have a look. Oh, another thing here as well. Robert Brown's brought up a comment. Thanks for your comment, Robert. And I'd like to also say, guys, hit the likes if you can. Thanks for coming in. Thank you to all our Ukrainian and Russian guests as well. If I knew how to say hello in your language, I would do. But welcome to you and well done to your fighter. Everyone's welcome in here. Here we go. AJ needs to change trainers. Now, this is a massive debate, and it's a conversation. Why does AJ need to change trainers? Somebody's put it in there that he needs to change trainers. Xavier, you're a coach. Talk to me.
He said the same thing when he lost to Ruiz. He said no. He's keeping his team, and he's going to add on. And that's all he maybe just bring in. You know, another coach. You know, in this day and age, it's not unusual to have 3 coaches. It's not unusual.
He's got 3. He has got 3 anyway, hasn't he?
You know, Dillian's got 3.
Yeah.
You know, it's not unusual. You know, you can add on, but your main coach. You mean, you've won nearly all your fights. There was no one screaming to go and change trainers. Yeah. You know, you've lost a fight. Make an adjustment as a team together.
Yeah,
a strategy. You know, you obviously have a winning formula. Just because you lose a fight, it doesn't mean you just start. And that's the problem with boxers. What they do is sometimes they'll leave their trainer. They'll go to this trainer, that trainer, and they'll come back to their original trainer. So the boxer needs to take responsibility that maybe there was a game plan initially, and you weren't able to go and execute that game plan. That's not your trainers. That's you.
That's you.
Learn to take responsibility for you coming up short sometimes and saying, you know what, I've got to do better. Don't always look to blame somebody else.
I had, and that's a good point, because I had a good conversation with an old school trainer today. Video to come out soon on October Red Boxing, and he made some really key points. And I don't know how this reflects with you guys. He says plans are when you to build a house. You must learn to fight on instinct. Talk to me about that, because I thought that was it was music to my ears. So if you get put in with someone, you've had a week's notice, your opponent's dropped out, all that planning that you've done, I'll go back to Big Baby Miller and Ruiz. That's the only way I can put the example into like a practical format for you to understand it. AJ trained for Big Baby Miller. He was ready for Big Baby Miller. Big Baby Miller decided to juice up the place, and then he couldn't box. So then he had to get in. Obviously, Ruiz was like, yeah, I'm over here. I won against Parker, but I didn't get the decision. Hey, and then look what happened. Plans are for when you build a house. You must learn to fight off instinct. It's all about the defense. I don't know, over to you guys, Jose.
Yeah, I agree. Because again, I've been in a few fights where we've had tactics. The first round didn't go to plan. Obviously, this is in amateur boxing, but you got 3 rounds to adjust and implement, and obviously take the fight from there. So, the tactics don't go to plan in the first round. Switch it up in the second, switch it up in the third, and you adjust. They might adjust mid-fight, so you've got to be able to do it. I can't look to my trainer and be like, what do I do next? What do I do next? So, you got to be in the ring, feel it yourself, and look and say, all right, then this is working against him. Let me push that more. I can see he's doing this. Let me do that's why, again, it goes back to like Xavier was saying about studying, watching fighters, build your own boxing brain. Then I can come to I can bring my own knowledge to the table as well as my coaches.
Exactly.
So definitely I agree with that. Instincts and your own knowledge as well as your coaches.
Xavier?
Yeah, I think one of the fighter's main jobs is to make adjustments during the fight. No matter how well the fight is going anyway, you've always got to make adjustments on the fly. I mean, you're the one that's in there. And at the end of the day, a coach is there to support you, but once the round starts, you're in there on your own. You've got to use your own boxing brain. You've got a problem in there. At times, you've got to figure it out. Your coach is there to support you, but you are. That's why I don't, especially in the corners, I don't like to overcoach. I like my fighters to think about what they're doing. When we're in camp in sparring, you come back to the corner, I give you an instruction, you go out, and I give you little tips here and there, but I don't like screaming instructions throughout a whole round, because to me, the fighter's not thinking for themselves. That's why I don't like doing it. And I don't ever tell any coach or any boxer how to go about what they do. I can only go by how I was taught and the coaches that I studied. The likes of Eddie Futch and Cooks and those guys, they were quite mild-mannered. It was always giving clear instructions. I'm not a hype man or a motivator. I'm not that kind of person. But what you can do, you can get those kind of characters in your team. So maybe your first coach might not be that person, but the second one might be, but you don't change what you do, But the boxer, for me, the boxer has to be a thinking fighter. And that's why I say, unfortunately, this time round, AJ wasn't able to make the adjustments, But that's down to him, because from what you're saying, because when I was watching it, there's a bit of a delay with the audio, so I didn't get to hit the corners. But it sounds like from what you're saying that he was being given the right instructions, but he wasn't able to go out and deliver. So that means that he has to take responsibility. You can't blame the coach every time something goes wrong.
Yeah. And to be fair, he would never do that. But a lot of like the boxing fans are sort of like, put him in the bin, get rid of him, and I think sometimes the coaches get a little bit of a hard deal around it. But like you said, as a fighter, you need to take responsibility. You can't rely. It's like the sat nav. You get into a car, you don't know where you're going. The best way to find out where you're going is to get lost.
Yes, it's true.
But people don't want to do that. It's just like, okay, so the computer's there to tell you everything to do. So like you said, you're going back in the corner. Oh yeah, so what do I need to do next then? How are you learning?
Yeah, it's true.
You're not learning because you have to be told everything to do. The advice is there, and that's what it's there for. It's to say, okay, this. But you have to have those instincts. You have to learn how to read that opponent because everyone has patterns. The patterns are here.
I mean, another trick in the corner that I've used from very, very early, and this is old school coaches, sometimes when a fighter comes back to you, ask the fighter, what did you see? What are you seeing in there?
Yeah.
Pass the responsibility onto them, and then say, and then when they respond, say, exactly. Now you need to do this. You know, get your fighter to be a thinking fighter. You know, and then they'll be able to make adjustments on the fly. You know, this whole every single time a fighter loses a fight, I think they should change the coaches. To me, you have to take responsibility. You have to. That's the first thing you got to do. I mean, if you've been with a coach for a really long time, and we know the relationship is getting a bit stale, and you might need an injection. You know, you might need to feel like, you know what, I need to fall in love with boxing again. Maybe a coach can make me do that. Then fine, move on. But if you've made a mistake during a fight and you know it's you the one that was, you know, not able to do what you need to do or make adjustments, you've got to take responsibility. That's part of growth. That is part of growth. And when you keep jumping ship, that goes to show me at times that you're not taking responsibility. You're not being mature.
Yeah, spot on. And Richard Lazenby's put in the chat, thank you for your comments. Thank you for all of your comments. Like I said, there's a few Russian and Ukrainian coming in, and I apologize. I don't understand what you're saying. They could actually be saying you're a fucking prick, but who knows? Richard Lazenby, I can read yours. The better man won. If Usyk can develop a more powerful punching power, no current heavyweight contender today will beat him.
Yeah, except Dillian.
You got to back your fighter.
Except Dillian.
So thank you for that. Laith Al has put, AJ still thinks he has to prove to the world that he's a technical boxer. Stick to power.
He's a boxer. Anthony Joshua's a boxer. He's always been a boxer.
Yeah. And then we've got another one. AJ needs to, right, this is Remigius Chukwu. I'm so apologize if I haven't pronounced it right. AJ needs to counter more. He sits back too much. I said that about the countering. I wanted to see more countering. I wanted to see him be more aggressive with that jab, not to tap it out so much. Like you said, there's variations. Xavier, you mentioned about being able to throw the variations of the jab against the southpaw. So we've covered that. And that's all. It's all about the defense. Yeah. Videos to views. AJ supposed to be improving with all the money and support network, but I didn't see anything he's learnt being applied in this fight. I was hoping he puts it on Usyk early and rattled his cage. Videos to views. I agree with that. I thought I was going to see something different. I was expecting a boxing masterclass. I didn't expect AJ to sit back. I expected him to be more aggressive because I know that works with Usyk. So I'll agree with that. I just wanted to see a more, like you said, Xavier, Jose, that pressure. Be that pressure fighter, that fighter that literally, who would I say, I like Canelo's style as a pressure fighter, because it doesn't matter whether you're bouncing on your toes, doing backflips, breakdancing, he's coming for you. He just hunts you down with his back feet. And he just...
You know, I'd say pressure with quality.
Yeah.
Still bring the skills, but,
yeah,
you know, sometimes you just got to stick it on, man. Make them uncomfortable, take them out their comfort zone. Again, like I was saying, be the big imposing guy. You put your game plan on them, but again, it's easier said than done. But obviously, we'd like to see that.
Yeah,
I believe he can do it.
You have to remember, Usyk is the best boxer that Anthony Joshua's ever been in with. He is.
Yeah,
His-
100%.
I do
His,
agree.
his history tells you that. With what he's achieved in the amateurs, what he's achieved in the cruiserweight division, he's the best that he's been in with. It's
Yeah.
just like if you ask Mike Tyson, if you ask Lennox Lewis, if you ask Riddick Bowe, they'll tell you Evander Holyfield was the best fighter that ever walked.
Yeah.
That's what and they're telling you that now they've all retired, and
Yeah, for
they
real.
fought loads of good fighters. They all said the same thing about him. Sometimes you just come against somebody who is just that much better than you. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And bear in mind, he's smaller. And he's
Yeah.
I mean, when the first round started, honestly, I looked at the screen and was like, Jesus, look at the difference in size between these two.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought when the bell rang and they came together and the first round started. I didn't see it so much in the weigh-in. It's just when the fight started, I was like, Anthony Joshua looks huge compared to Usyk.
Yeah.
And I thought, and that's why, as the fight went on, I was just more and more impressed and saying, look what he's doing to this giant of a man. Look what he's doing to him.
David and Goliath.
He's made Anthony Joshua resort to one punch at a time. That's how good he is.
Mad. Yeah. I still can't. I'm still trying to get my head around that. That's
how good he is. Good fighters will make you do things that you don't want to do. That's why you just mentioned Canelo. Look at Canelo. He's sometimes he actually doesn't get going sometimes to the last 30 seconds of the round, but he's made you exert so much energy in the first 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Great fighters do this.
Yeah.
Great fighters do this, they finish strong. Usyk was the guy that was finishing stronger. I thought that he might actually ease off around 9-10 because he knew he was ahead. And I thought maybe he'd just box it out. But you know what he did? He kept Anthony Joshua honest.
Yeah, he did. He was relentless.
This has been working for me. Why am I going to change it? Let me keep my foot on his neck and see what happens. And he was right. He didn't give him a chance to get back in that fight. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So we've got something in here. Oh gosh, where's the chat gone? Sorry, the chats are coming in thick and fast. The triggers and feints and traps Usyk set up for Joshua stopped Joshua from throwing without fear of counter shots. And it's hard to get out of that way when you're in the fight. And this is what we're talking about, the skill set of Usyk.
Skill set, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? When Usyk is in round 4, he's thinking about round 8, maths. Wow. Okay, that's a different one. He didn't. Oh, I beg your pardon. He didn't hit him. This is from Lobotomy Meat. Okay, he didn't hit him hard from the beginning because he was scared that he would gas out, the way Chisora did. But overpowering him was the only real chance. Yeah, Lobotomy Meat. Your username's interesting, but that's a very, very good comment. I agree. Jose, we've got people in here asking, when is your debut date?
I believe I'll be out possibly December, maybe even November. So
and I want
soon,
a t-shirt.
Very soon.
I want a t-shirt.
Yeah, man, we'll get you one sorted, man, 100%.
Yeah, Red can't talk right now because she's been treating me like an orphan, but I need a t-shirt. Small or medium. Small or medium.
I'll keep
imagine.
I heard he wears extra small.
No, but small. This is a medium. This is all right. But I'm still waiting for my t-shirt from Red, so I don't know.
You're slacking there, you know.
I know. All right, don't worry. It's all right.
I've got like 15 t-shirts. Right. Okay. Listen, I want to thank everyone for joining in. If there's anybody want to ask like a couple more questions, we're going to wrap this up. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm grateful for all of you that are turned up today. This is the first time I've done it. Hopefully we'll do it again. And I'm suggesting it's going to be the Dillian White match. Who knows? Because I'm going to be busy out and about next week. So that I think the next one that we'll do is the Dillian White one. Guys, I can't can't read the Russian, and it's not letting me translate it. Listen, guests, Jose, Xavier, thank you so much for coming on.
You're
I
welcome.
couldn't have done it without you. You've been fantastic guests. We'll do this again. But yeah, we're gonna say good night. And it's been an eventful evening.
Definitely.
Anything from you guys before we go?
H, listen, good luck on your pro debut. You know, I'll be watching. I'll be watching. You know, I like heavyweight boxing.
Yeah, respect for that one. I appreciate it.
Yeah, just
getting some working soon.
Yeah, enjoy the journey. And I'd say if you need any sparring for your fight, even though I'm out here in Portugal, you know, you can contact Nick, who's the other head coach at my gym. There's 2 amateurs down there. Go down, get some work in, and let me know how you get on. But you're more than welcome anytime.
Yeah, man, much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. But good night, guys. Take care. Yeah, see you soon.
See you later.
Take care.
H, until the next time, viewers, until the next time, thank you very much for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.
All right, respect everyone. Take it easy.